6 days and counting before the presidential election, the general election, and one ad that just started airing really causing quite a stir.
Yeah, especially in these parts. 13 ABC's Bill Horman digs into a new Romney ad targeting Chrysler and China. Bill.
Yeah, sometimes you just get bad information, and sometimes you misinterpret information. But a controversy surrounding a Mitt Romney ad about Jeep moving to China could have been avoided with one phone call. At his highly charged defiance appearance last Thursday, Mitt Romney appealed to voters as the man who will fight for American jobs. And he said this.
I saw a story today that one of the great manufacturers in this state, Jeep, now owned by the Italians, is thinking of moving all production to China.
This is the Bloomberg.com story, which left the impression that Jeep was moving production to China. Chrysler, it says, plans to return Jeep output to China and may eventually make all of its models in that country.
Who will do more for the auto industry?
The Romney camp quickly produced this ad.
Obama took GM and Chrysler into bankruptcy and sold Chrysler to Italians who are going to build Jeeps in China.
But Romney's camp should have done the legwork that 13 ABC's Jeep beat reporter Lisa Guyton did. She actually talked to Chrysler, and the company insisted that Jeep would expand into China, not abandon Toledo.
Now, to be clear, Jeep has no intention of shifting production of its Jeep models out of North America to China.
Chrysler stopped building Jeeps in China in 2007 when the German company Daimler sold the automaker to Cerberus. And back in January of this year, the head of Fiat, which now owns Chrysler, says the company wants to get back into China.
The big opportunity for us, especially in the Chinese environment, is to explore how we can grow Jeep, because Jeep, to me, is still the biggest international calling card that we own.
After Romney's false claim of Jeep outsourcing to China,
the Obama camp pounced. They produced this response, arguing that Mitt Romney got the story wrong.
Truth? Jeep is adding jobs in Ohio.
Now, as you know, Jeep is expanding in Toledo and it is adding jobs. And Tuesday, Sergio Marchionne emphatically declared in an email to his employees that Jeep production will not be moved from the United States to China. But the Romney camp is not backing down from their ad. They say Jeeps will be made in China. And they're literally true. But on the heels of the Romney comment in Defiance, Ohio, this ad to us seems careless and misleading. Vice President Joe Biden today actually called the Romney ad an outrageous lie. We're not going that far, but the Obama ad rightly calls out the Romney camp on this one. I'm Bill Horman, and we just explained the story behind the Romney ad controversy in tonight's Truth.
All right, in one poll, President Obama is up a point over Mitt Romney. In another, that lead is 6 points. In another poll, likely voters are sampled. In another, it's all adults.
So how do we know which polls are actually accurate? 13 ABC Bill Horman talked with a local pollster who has an answer.
Yeah, Fritz Wenzel is a pollster who's known all around the country. Most famously, perhaps, is the pollster for presidential candidate Ron Paul. Well, today he told me we have to look behind the numbers to judge their accuracy. The political conventions are over. The candidate debates are 3 weeks away. So to push the presidential horse race, you get the presidential poll.
I do kind of sometimes like to hear what other people are thinking.
But what people are thinking may not be accurately reflected in the polls.
You get vastly different results depending on what sample you choose to use.
Fritz Wenzel is a Toledo-based pollster for candidates all across the country. He says two big factors affect poll results. One involves the sample population.
Do you have a registered voter sample, a likely voter sample, or just all adult sample?
Here's what he means. ABC News Washington Post polled likely voters and found the president had a 1-point lead. But among registered voters, Obama had a 6-point lead.
Here, close to an election, everyone should be using a likely voter sample.
Another problem with polls, sampling more Democrats than Republicans. Voters sometimes sense the bias.
I just don't believe in them. I think that they call people that they know maybe are going to go one way or the other.
Democrats are more likely, our surveys show, to answer a political poll than are Republicans. They're easier to reach and they're more willing to talk.
For instance, this CNN poll uses likely voters and found the president leading Mitt Romney by 6 points. But the poll oversampled Democrats and vastly undersampled independents. A more accurate sample would have had Romney up 8 points.
Always check to see that the Democrats to Republicans to independents are properly aligned so that you have a poll that has the right proportion.
Wenzel believes today's polls are more accurate, but he says they can be manipulated, and that leaves voters to decide what to believe. Do these opinion polls matter to you?
No, my opinion matters to me.
Now, we're not saying the president doesn't have a lead in the polls, but voters may be wondering which lead is it? Is it 1 point or is it 6 points? Fritz Wenzel says a reliable poll uses likely voters and has that right Democratic, Republican, independent balance. And by the way, that margin of error, 2 or 3 points probably means an accurate poll. 5 points or higher, might want to raise an eyebrow. Reporting live, Bill Horman, 13 ABC, Action News.
All right, Bill, thank you.
Well, he may be the most recognized congressional challenger in the entire country, but Joe the Plumber has run a pretty quiet campaign. Thanks for joining us. I'm Christian Brown.
And I'm Lee Conklin. In your vote 2012 tonight, you may be wondering if Joe Wurzelbacher is still in the race against Democratic incumbent Marcy Kaptur. Well, 13 ABC's Bill Horman talked with Joe today, and Bill, he's in the race, but doing it his way.
You got it right, Lee. Joe's been described as the poster boy for the angry everyman. But while Marcy Kaptur's up on Capitol Hill voting on the big issues of the day, we haven't heard much from Joe Wurzelbacher, and we wondered if he was still in the race. We first talked with Joe the Plumber while he walked a snowy West Toledo neighborhood back in February. He's running against Democrat Marcy Kaptur, a 30-year incumbent who's not only popular but visible. But Joe has run a quiet campaign away from the sharp focus of the media.
We're having returning calls to media because, quite frankly, you're not going to get me elected. It's the people that I talk to every day that I'm trying to get their votes.
Google his name and you get page after page of entries. He has 20 YouTube videos of his positions on important issues, and he has thousands of Facebook followers. Yet when he does pop up in the mainstream media, his unfiltered comments stir hot debate. Like when he said in Arizona a month ago, Americans should put up a fence on the border going with Mexico and start shooting. And the media have made him a butt of jokes for that.
Which end did that beauty come from, Joe?
But Joe insists millions of Americans agree with his blunt opinions.
It's not that I'm bloodthirsty. It's not that I want to kill people. It's that I want my government to do their damn job and protect the borders like they've been told to do.
Joe's lost 2 campaign managers because he says he refused to play politics like a politician. He distrusts the media, and he's low on cash. So if you don't see him in those fancy TV ads or at some press conference, just know that Joe the Plumber is running this race his way, and that's the way he wants it.
I'm doing it a different way. I always said from the beginning, if I can't get elected being who I am, damn it, I don't want to be elected.
And Joe knows he's running an uphill race here. Marcy Kaptur is effective and she's popular. We'll profile the candidates as we get closer to the election, but as for debates between these two, Marcy Kaptur's ready. She's even offered dates. So far, Joe has not committed. Reporting live, Bill Horman, 13 ABC, Action News.